Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning into the Boxing Authorities. Joining me at the desk, as always, Luther Dupree Jr., Smoking Jim Frazier, and my name is Claudio Relsano. Well, we had another celebrity boxing event this past weekend. Boy, I think they're going to start to dwindle down, to be honest with you, unless they pick it up some. Luther, your thoughts on the card?
The card was garbage. The card was absolute trash. It was supposed to be Lamar Odom and Riddick Bowe. Right. That didn't happen. Riddick Bowe couldn't find the arena or something. Then he couldn't even referee. It was disgusting. Lamar Odom versus Aaron Carter. He looked pretty good. This fighting against J-Lo's first husband or whatever.
Oh, Johnny Noah.
It was horrible. The whole event, I didn't know half of the guys they called celebrities.
Yeah.
I don't know where they were celebrities at. They had one guy, Holy God, that had a real unique face. Another wide-neck Mitchell.
And their press conferences were more exciting than the actual card.
Yeah,
and you hit it. Who is he? I mean,
we don't know these guys. Let it go. Unless you got real celebrities. Right. I don't want to see it unless you have their women. You know, these guys are fighting and they go home with their women.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
all
much
right.
like AB did against Paulie. Okay. You know, that might add some excitement, but it was.
Paulie didn't want her, but that's another story.
Paulie got his woman taken.
He let him take her. He won that fight too.
He won the fight.
Oh, he won that fight. He got robbed.
Oh,
your thoughts on the celebrity event?
Oh, very good. I'm very impressed. It's very good
Come
for
on,
boxing.
Jimmy. You didn't see it then. Stop lying to these people, Jim.
It's so entertaining. You know what I mean? Hey, listen. You know, I really like it. I think that the boxing is picking up in the community. There's a guy here. We're in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and there's a guy here, C.C. Clark, that has a gym downtown, and it's all women learning how to, you know, because you can really get in shape with boxing.
No question.
I bet you hang out there a lot, Jim.
Learn how to defend yourself, and so it's really picking up as far as not just the general public is starting to get back into it, and I think this is a great avenue, and some of them may get in shape, and some of them may want to step into the ring one day, you know what I mean? So that's very good for our business. And,
all right.
and
Thanks for not answering the question, Jim. I like that.
The only thing I liked about it, obviously, was Paulie Malignaggi. He's really outclassed, as they said, that term outclassed, and you knew he was going to do it. And Paulie was at his heaviest at 175, looked great. Good footwork, good hand speed. He was talking to the crowd, had fun. And both of them made a nice chunk of change. And there's only 3 rounds. I thought it was supposed to be 6 rounds. They were supposed to wear headgear. They didn't, which I'm glad they didn't. But, you know, I liked watching Paulie again. Brought me back a few years ago. And he seemed to really enjoy it, which is nice to see.
Paulie went easy on him. I think we have some footage of Paulie, too.
Okay,
he went easy
he definitely
on him.
Went easy
he
on
could have knocked this guy out. But, you know, he was in there just to kind of showboat.
Didn't
got
get
a couple
hit
punches
at all.
off. Didn't get
great.
touched.
Yeah.
I don't think he got hit at all.
He owns a restaurant in Italy, doesn't he?
He owns a restaurant in Italy. He is part owner of a restaurant, Colbert, the boxer. He's got some money in that in Long Island. He's got like 2 restaurants in New York, 1 in Italy. He's done very, very well. He owns a tax company, part owner of a tax company, Future Legends clothing line. He owns a auto body shop that details cars in New York. So he's done very well with his money.
He invested in Bitcoin, but he never invested in a big punch.
He didn't have to, I guess. See, Jim listens to my show on ClaudioRelsano.com. I had Paulie Malignaggi as a guest, but Paulie's done well with his money. Announcing, he does some things for Sky Sports, so he does very, very well. But if we have some highlights of Paulie in the fight, that'd be great. If not, then you can look at us.
I need some powder on the back of my neck.
Oh, man.
Right. But now, do you think that, you mentioned about being good for boxing? Oh, here it is. Here's some highlights of the fight.
Yeah. I mean, Paulie came in heavier than I'd ever seen him, and that guy he was in there with,
so he
didn't
could have really
deserve
nailed
to
him
He
there.
could have done something. The guy had his mouth open the first round, catching body shots. He probably was spitting up blood throughout the night. Paulie just welling on him.
Yeah, and
the guy just trying to lay.
He could have really pounded him
because he doesn't
harder,
even know how to hold correctly. He could have really punished him.
That
So
didn't look like
Paulie
Riddick Bowe in there.
No, he didn't show up.
Riddick Bowe didn't show up.
Yeah.
He's still looking for that Uber.
But now, Jim, you mentioned it's good for boxing, and again, the show Contender, which was very good for boxing. I don't think this is going to help boxing like the Contender did. But do you think it's good, Luther, that it does get the sport in people's eyes as long as it's a good card and entertaining?
Yeah, if you got real celebrities, any type of boxing is good for boxing. But if you get real celebrities, it could definitely help. I mean, you look at the Butterbean and all these guys who started it way back in the day. That's what they do. They, celebrity guys who are really going to get out there and fight. This card this past week,
But
it wasn't
would you
very
agree
good.
they have to look good, though?
Yeah,
Their technique has to be
they
good.
have
They
to
just
look
can't be
good.
wailing like Wilder. But I wanted to get Luther on that. But I mean, they have to have good technique.
You-
We're going to get to that.
You're going to have to bring
We're gonna get to
Wilder.
that.
See, I was calm, and then you start that Wilder stuff. You know what I mean? Somebody else with a 98% knockout percentage, all right?
Well,
You're
Lamar
gonna hit
Odom,
him.
what's his knockout percentage?
He's
Oh, this was
50%.
his. All right,
He's 50%.
okay. All right. But I mean, again, I think if the fighters are good, if the entertainers are good, then I don't think they should fight a professional boxer, though, because they're going to look outclassed, as Paulie did with Corey B. But if it's competitive and it's fun, it's a night out, I don't know how much it's going to help boxing.
Can
But I would
I
like
ask
to
you
see the
something?
contender.
Can I ask you something?
You can ask me whatever you want, smoking Jim Frazier.
Why am I and millions of people around the world donating to Riddick Bowe and he won't even show up to pick up his check?
You donated. You ain't donating to Riddick Bowe.
Put some money in.
Let me see the receipt. And I know you asked for a receipt. It is sad that things went the way they did for him health-wise and financially.
Yeah.
And did they say why he wasn't at the?
They
'Cause I
just
missed
said it. He was supposed to fight. He was supposed to ref, and he didn't make it. That's how they left it. So
It's
no
sad.
telling what
It's
it's
sad.
sad. Yeah, but I'm glad he didn't get in that ring.
Yeah, that would have been
He
bad.
looked
That would have
bad.
hurt. That would have hurt in
I
a lot of
wanted
ways.
to see it.
Yeah.
I know you would have.
After we saw Evander, we didn't need to see Riddick Bowe.
No, and Luther has a great line about the shadow
When
boxing.
he
Go ahead.
he was shadow boxing and he lost. He didn't even compete. How do you lose shadow boxing? I mean, it's bad what's happened to Riddick Bowe.
Yeah.
Pray for that man.
And I've said numerous times, I've been to some different events where some of the older boxers are, and it's just sad. It's sad to see it. And not just, okay, if you're hurt physically, fine, but if you have a ton of money, all right, at least, you have that. But they're hurt physically, mentally, and they don't have money. And it's just sad. And that's what we talked about a few episodes ago on the show, that it'd be nice if they had some sort of a pension fund, something. And I suggested, and really I got it from Teddy Atlas. Teddy Atlas said it'd be nice, for example, not putting it on them so much, but like Wilder Fury, donate 2% each of you of your purse. We're not talking about the undercard donating their purse, but the big dogs, and put it towards some fighters. But there's a lot of red tape you have to go through and a lot of different things. But I would like to see something. I know Jerry Cooney had a group called Fist that helped fighters for years, and then Donnie Lalonde had one, TKOO, Taking Care of Our Own. And there's another guy named Rich Boxer out of New York who does a lot for fighters with banquets. John Iceman Scully, former boxer, and he was a trainer, does a lot for fighters, but I think more has to be done.
I say
definitely agree.
farewell to welfare. I mean, this is a guy who won't even show up to pick up his own check. I know Luther says pray for him. I have enough people to pray for. I ain't praying for Riddick Bowe.
All right. Well, on that note, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight. Right back with the boxing authorities. Well, on October 9th, finally, the big event, in my opinion, crossover fight, the mega fight. Mike Tyson. Tyson Fury.
Don't mix those two up,
Right.
Claudio.
Mike,
Come on.
I said almost did it again. Tyson Fury against Deontay Wilder. We've talked about it a lot, but still a little more to talk about and refresh everybody's memory about it. Your thoughts on, first of all, the first two fights.
Yeah, well,
How we got here.
Well, how we got here. Let's talk about all the things that Fury did to avoid this fight. It was contracted for a 2-fight deal. Fury waited all this time. This fight should have happened last year. He kept pushing off, went to arbitration. Wilder had to fight arbitration, and they had already signed a 2-fight agreement. Fury tried to get out. He couldn't get out. So he won the arbitration a day after Fury announced that he was fighting Anthony Joshua. He said he spoke to some prince in another country, and he's fighting Anthony Joshua. I just got off the phone, and I'm fighting Anthony Joshua. And then the next day, arbitrator said Wilder Fury 3 is going to happen in July. That comes. Fury says he has COVID-19, and next thing we know, he's out buying cars, and he's back in the UK.
Vegas.
I've never seen in Vegas buying cars, luxury automobiles. But now we're finally here. Redemption Day is upon Tyson Fury. One of the most overrated fighters I've ever seen. Off of one fight. People, old media guys who said Wilder didn't have any skills. Fury beats him. Now all of a sudden he's pound for pound #1. But you guys said he had no skills, Claudio.
No, he convinced
me.
me.
No.
He
But
convinced me.
then all of a sudden Fury beats him. Now Fury's #1.
Oh, you talking about Wilder?
I'm talking about Wilder.
okay.
You guys ripped on him, but as soon
He had
as
a punch.
Fury beats him, now Fury's
get it.
#1 pound for pound. It makes no sense. Does he have skills or does he not? So that's what I want to frame this argument. Fury won the second fight. I thought there were some questionable things in that. Wilder did not look right. You know,
Yeah, because he got clipped.
No,
That's
he
why.
did not look right in the locker room. He didn't look right in the
Jim
fight.
knows about that.
You know, his ear got cut. We're looking at round 6 here. You know, his legs were gone. Fury was leaning on him. You know,
He's doing his thing.
A lot of dirty tactics, and Kenny Bayless finally took a point off of him. You know, but Fury, you know, tried to get. He clearly outweighs Wilder, licking his blood in the age of COVID. Just a nasty.
That was no. We don't need that.
Wow. Let's see. We'll see if he licks any blood today. He may be licking his own blood on Saturday. But again, you know, we've never seen Wilder on the ropes, you know, out of it, clearly out of it, didn't know where he was. And Fury got this victory. Look at that glove. You can't tell me that's a new glove. But I think we're going to see a totally different Wilder this fight. I saw the training videos. He's going to go to the body. You know, he added some tools to his toolbox. I look for an exciting fight. Fury, we haven't seen much, but we do know before that July fight, he was getting handled by F.A. Ajagba and Jared Big Baby Anderson in sparring. So I think that's why it was pushed back. There was no evidence that he did have COVID-19. I think we are in for a war Saturday. I already listened. Wilder's a big underdog. He's gonna ruin some paydays because I think so.
If you were Fury's management team, would you have pushed it back, seeing what you saw in the gym, or just say, you know what, hell with it, go ahead and fight?
Listen, they did what they thought was best because
Okay.
he was getting beat up in sparring. He was clearly not ready to fight in July, so they pushed it back to September. But I don't think it's going to matter. I think, you know, he just gave Wilder more time to add to his skills. He's really angry. Last time we saw Wilder in a rematch when he was this angry, he almost destroyed a man in the ring. We're talking about Stavern 2, Wilder Stavern 2. He destroyed him. I think we see devastation. I'm worried for Fury's life. He may catch that
Smoking
body.
Jim, let me ask you a question. Buddy McGirt trained Paulie Malignaggi and Arturo Gatti. Tried to change them a little bit. Didn't work. Paulie was Paulie, and Paulie tried and it
Different
didn't
fighters.
work. Okay, Arturo Gatti was what? A slugger. Came after you. He wanted him to move a little bit more. Malik Scott, how much do you think he's going to be able to change Deontay Wilder? And when things get hot and heavy, is he going to continue to do that training, or he's going to go back to who he is?
Well, I don't want to take 15 minutes and not answer the question like Luther just did. I'll say this. Listen, once you get hit, you're going to revert right back to whatever you feel is comfortable. You know, Deontay Wilder, the
When
one
the
thing,
last time you in the ring, Jim?
the one thing you can say about Deontay Wilder is he's stubborn. This is a stubborn man. He's going to do what he wants to do. I thought that Mark Breland was the best for him. Mark Breland taught him a lot. They was together a whole
You
a
talked
lot.
about his style the whole time, Jim. Really?
Pardon me?
You talked about Windmill Wilder. What are you talking about?
Windmill Wilder?
That's what you called him.
Yeah, but
But
I'm saying
Breland was
is,
good for
what
him?
I'm saying is that they came this far together. Now you're going for glass chin Scott. You know what I mean? Only thing he's gonna teach him is, you know, what to do when he wake up in the hospital. Hey, listen, this is a great fight. This is the only rematch I ever heard of in boxing history that's labeled the third fight. So I don't know why you already had the rematch. Hey, listen, this is good for boxing, but I agree with Luther when he says that, Wilder is holding up boxing. Or
I never
something
said,
like
don't
that.
put words
don't
in my
you know
mouth.
what I mean.
Don't put
You
words in my
wanna-
mouth.
wanna-
No, don't put
Wilder
words in my
Fury
mouth.
fight
I never-
is holding up
Fury.
boxing.
Fury
Something
is holding up boxing because this fight
whatever.
should have happened.
You mentioned one of the
No,
fighters.
don't put that. No. Fury is holding up boxing because this fight should have happened.
What I'm
Jim.
saying is that I think that the most exciting thing, and we'll talk about it later, is that, there's so many up and coming young boxers that's coming up. I think it's the best era of boxing.
Oh, gosh.
I think that Tyson
That was
Fury-
already disproved.
Listen, I wouldn't doubt if there's a fourth one. If this is a very
Hey,
close
you know, you
fight.
might be right there, and because of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the money is there and the promoters are not seeing what I see as far as the young fighters being up and coming, being outstanding. I've never seen a group of heavyweights this good.
Well, we like Lou said, we proved you wrong from 75, 80, 90, 2000.
Yeah.
But you do make a good point, because if it is close, or if it is competitive, or if it's a rock'em sock'em robot, people are going to want to see it, because what else is out there that's going to bring in the money? Not that they're not good fighters, they're okay fighters, but are they going to bring in
Right.
the celebrities? They're going to bring in the money. Are they going to bring the people into the casinos and to the you know, the centers where they're going to have the fights? I don't think so. But let me ask you this now. Honestly, what does, I always want to say Mike Tyson Fury have to do to beat Wilder?
I think.
And don't say loading up gloves and all that
listen,
stuff.
I'm not saying that. Let me finish. You asked me a question. Let me answer it. Listen, Fury has to come in as the bigger guy and try to bully him, use big boy tactics. You know, as when he was trying to box, he got caught and dropped 3 times in the first fight. When he tried to come in, lean on him, throw a couple elbows, and do whatever he could to try to wear down Wilder. I think that's what he has to do. You know, he's still fighting. Sugar Hill's still his trainer, and that's a style where you go for the knockout or you get knocked out. But I think he has to try to big bully him and get him in the corner and just well on him.
So you're saying don't be a boxer puncher, be the puncher.
That's what I think his best chance. I think you know, with the changes Wilder's made, I think he has to come at him, try to wear him down, because he's going to outweigh him by at least 40, 50 pounds. Try to weigh on him, lean on him, just like he did that second fight. I think that's his best chance. I think boxing, I think Wilder's going to be able to catch him. You know, he caught him a couple times in that first fight. And again, as I told you, I think Wilder was robbed of a knockout in that first fight. And I think he won on the scorecards. It should not have been a draw.
He didn't win on the scorecard.
He
Nor was
definitely
robbed.
won. He definitely won on the scorecards, because Fury did nothing for the first 4 rounds, and he went down 2 times. It should have been 3 knockdowns, but only 2 were counted.
Oh, I thought you meant the long count, because you keep saying it was
No,
long.
it was a long
good.
count, and I showed that video before. We'll bring it again so you can remember it, Claudio.
Smoking Jim, what does Fury have to do to win the fight?
Well, you know, when you're fighting heavyweights, even though a guy's 212 pounds with no legs, he's still a heavyweight. One punch can end the fight.
Right.
So you got to take that in consideration. But when you look at it, Fury is the only real, true, pure boxer, you know, a guy that, you know, studied the trade, understands the trade, learned how to fight, you know, can fight in any situation. So Fury can, you know, put the pressure on him and beat him up like he did the last time, or he can simply outbox him like he did in the first
That's
fight.
fake
So
news.
Fury is basically coming in, and if he doesn't get caught, you know, with one of those haymakers, or what was he called? What's he call that punch? The bronze bomber after getting the bronze medal. In the
Alabama Slammer.
Okay.
The Alabama Slammer.
The bronze medal bomber. If he doesn't get caught with one of those sledgehammers from Alabama,
He will get caught.
You know, Fury should win the fight.
I'm with you. I think Fury has more tools to use. He can box him, or he can, like Luther said, go in there and brawl him, and not brawl him so much, but land the heavy shots. I'm in the camp that when you have a guy, and we said this one of the previous episodes about Tommy Morrison, and Tommy Morrison did not have the boxing skills that Tyson Fury has. But he used to say, well, we're going to take him deep in the fight. Now, Fury could outbox him and make him look bad, move, and stuff like that, and style a little bit. Yeah. But when you're facing a guy who has a big punch and can end it with one shot, I say get him out as soon as you can, which he's saying now he's going to do. Okay? You do not want to play. You can box, and I've said this before about the Lennox Lewis-Tua fight. Lennox Lewis had to have been exhausted physically, but also mentally, because any second you can get clocked. Okay, you can get away with it with a boxer who doesn't have a big punch. Okay, fine, but somebody with a big hammer like Wilder, you cannot play. If you can get rid of him early, okay, then get rid of him early. I was never a fan of Emmanuel Stewart's philosophy with Klitschko. You know, let's drag him out. It was effective, but. You know, let's wait it out. No, hell, you got the hammer, the steel hammer. Yeah. Get him in, get him out. I mean, that's my opinion. That's what Fury has to do. What does
Can I say one
Of
thing
course.
before you go to Luther? Because it could be a while. I would say that also that Tyson Fury has the perfect boxing wife. You know what I mean? And I think that I think that Wilder has the worst fiance for boxing. And I listened to a show you did on Dick
here we go with
Vermeil,
this JMZ
and Dick
stuff.
Vermeil used to say he had a coach on his staff that used to teach the other wives how to be coaches' wives.
Yeah.
And I think that's a plus because Fury definitely has the best home life as far as a wife.
And that is important.
That is very
That
important.
is important. You know, I tell my wife all the time.
Very important, Lou.
Hey, I tell my wife all the time. She
Very
gives me-
important.
What did
She
you
gives
mean?
me
You met
the clear
his
head
wives?
to go do what I got to do. And thank you, Jim, again, for plugging my show, ClaudiaRossano.com, my interview. And I just don't interview Italians on that show either. Okay.
Mostly Italian.
No.
Listen, Jim, before this Tim's, you never met either
TMZ.
wife. You never met either wife. You don't know anything about them. If they walked in here, you wouldn't know who either one of them was talking about. Why? We're not
That's
talking
going to
about
be on the tail
that.
of the
We're
tape.
talking
Luther.
about in the ring.
That's
Smoker
going to
Jim.
tail of the tape.
Exactly.
6'6", the wife,
Wife
the
of
reach,
six,
78
6
reach.
kids,
Right.
wife 4. Get out of here, Jim. You gonna bring that? I knew the CTE was gonna work its way. You were doing
On the
good.
show.
The CTE jumps in. We never know when. And that idiotic statement about the guys' wives.
What?
We're not worried about that, Smoking Jim.
Hey, he does make a point. He does make a point. Again, my wife, I tell her all the time, my wife and daughter, they give me a clear head. When
Yeah.
I'm coaching, I worry
Jim
about
has
coaching.
no
when
knowledge of either
when I'm
wife.
doing the show, I worry about the show. That's hard when people say, well, when you get in between the white lines, no, you can't turn it off and on. I mean, I don't know the situation like Jim does. You know, he does. He has his people. Jim has his people.
Fly in everybody's
What do they call that?
bedroom. Get out of here,
What do they call that
man.
when you have people? Yeah,
Smokopedia. Get out of here with that
What
nonsense.
does Wilder have to do to win?
Listen,
Besides getting along with his wife.
Listen, Wilder, I love what he's doing. You got to go to the body. Unlike you two, I watched the Otto Wallin fight. And Wallin jumped on him, went to that flabby body that Fury has. You got to go to his body because Fury's really good. He's a big guy with a little head. So trying to hit that head, and he moves his head around a lot. So go to that body, break him down, and then the head will follow. Listen, this body work that Wilder's going to put on Fury is going to be the difference. You know what, Fury, one thing about him, I don't like him. I believe he's a cheater, and I believe he's bad for the sport, but he does have a heart. I've seen him get clipped by Wilder and able to get up, even though it was 15 seconds.
recovery.
He has a good recovery, and he's able to move. You know, but I think if Wilder goes to that body, moves his head, which is what he's working on, you know, his defense has been improved, his body work has been improved. I think that's the key. You got to go to Fury's body, break his body down, then the head is going to follow. I love that. And I think Malik Scott is one of the young trainers. After this fight, Wilder looks different. He comes out. Everybody's going to work with Malik Scott, and you can change your styles because we saw Fury go from a boxer, got with Sugar Hill.
Yeah, but
and
he
then
was
all of a
able to
sudden,
do that in other fights.
No, he always was a boxer. You never saw him come forward like that.
A few times.
No,
A few
no,
times.
he's a boxer.
He had the ability to do it.
No, we've never seen him come forward, show this type of power like he did against that Wilder fight. That was a totally different style. So unlike you two,
So if Luther
boxers
doesn't see
can
it, it didn't
change.
happen.
Boxers can change. And that proved it. And we've seen other fighters change their style. The fact that you act like Wilder cannot, you're talking about a special athlete. He picked up the sport at 19.
Let me ask you a
Fought
question.
for a short time, got a bronze medal. That's unheard of. Guys fight their whole life and can't make it on the Olympic team. He fought 2 years, he was a bronze medalist. You know, a few years after that, he became a heavyweight champion. This is a special guy. So the fact that you guys undersell him, I think that's real disappointing.
Well, George Foreman did it at 18 in a shorter period of time and won a gold. So, I mean, we heard of it. You saying it's unheard of? We heard of it.
Yeah, he started earlier than Wilder.
He started
Wilder
at
started like 20. 19, 20. Come
What's
on.
the difference?
A full year. There's a full year.
No, but George did in 6 months. He fought.
Listen,
Let me ask you a question
again.
now. And Jim, see if I'm right. If let's say Fury gets an early lead, okay, is Wilder going to worry about going to the body, or is he going to go head hunting?
Good point.
He's going to listen to Scott and say, okay, you're down 4, but don't go for the knockout. Don't go to the Fury fight be that Deontay Wilder. No, we're still going to stick and move and go to the body. No, he's going to revert back to who he is.
But just because you're going to the body doesn't mean you lose the killer instinct. He's adding layers to it, Jim.
He's going to want to go to the
He's adding layers to it. Of course, he's going to want to go to eventually to the head, but they've been working on going to the body to break the body down and then go to the head. Okay. But go ahead, believe what you want and be wrong like both of you have been numerous times on this show, and you will be again.
Smoking Jim, what does Wilder have to do to win the fight?
Well, Wilder is a guy who should be hungry for this fight.
Yeah, he should be.
You can't teach old dogs new tricks. I think that Wilder is going to have the same hopes and training camps that Floyd Patterson had in the second rematch against Sonny Liston. I mean, hey,
completely different. Don't compare them to Sonny Liston.
When they came in the locker room and asked Sonny Liston, should I put some money on you? He said, ain't no 185-pound blankety blank gonna beat me. Ain't no 212-pound guy gonna beat a 273-pound guy. But I tell you what he should do is hope that he can land one of them haymakers. He can knock anybody out. He's proven that in the past. He's an unskilled laborer, but he proved in the
More
past.
slander.
He proved
but
in the past.
highest knockout percentage of boxing history.
Yeah, he proved
Keep throwing your slander.
He proved it. But this may be a bad fight for him, and it has been. But
Styles.
if I was the commissioner, because I think the first fight is more of a true scale of these two opponents, and the first fight went 12 rounds to a draw, so I would add to a 15 round. If I was commissioner, it'd be a 15-round fight. Sure, be no more draw, because this fight could very well end in a draw again. Yeah, would that be a win-win for Wilder?
Which is a great lead to what I'm going to say. What is better for boxing for who to win, Tyson or Deontay?
I would say, I say Deontay Wilder. Definitely.
Okay.
He comes back and gets this
Is that good for Black Lives Matter?
I'm not.
How's that good for boxing?
Listen, you know what I don't like? The U.S. media is so against the last American champion, like you two guys. Old media is so against Wilder. Listen, I've never seen anything like this. We had people in the American media saying, don't get this. Stephen A., this is how it works. Don't fight, let those two fight, and then get the winner. I've never seen anything like that. Wilder is going to upset all these guys trying to push the Joshua Fury fight. Both of them will lose. They were trying to overjump Wilder when he had a clear rematch. They were trying to overlook Usyk, and both of those guys are going to lose. This is the boxing universe clearing up all the foolishness that has been going on. Wilder will win in devastating
So you're
fashion.
saying Wilder's a bigger draw than Fury? Like Jim always says, the world's bigger than the United States. But so you think? I know Joshua obviously lost, but let's just say Wilder versus Usyk or Joshua is bigger than Fury against those two guys.
The biggest fight would have been Wilder versus Joshua. That should have happened years ago.
Bigger than Fury.
Yes. Listen, Fury was not a big sell here. They don't even like him in the UK. He's even said that he's not as big as you guys try to make him out to be. The Ottawa Lean fight tickets were given away. It didn't sell out. The fight before that against Tim Sports didn't sell out. They had to give tickets away.
It'd be nice to have an opponent.
Listen, if you don't, Wilder, it doesn't matter the opponent, it's always a sellout. Always a sellout.
In Alabama, but
everywhere. He hasn't fought in Alabama. He fought in Brooklyn and Vegas, and they've all been sellouts,
Small
Claudio.
arenas.
Those are all facts.
Small arenas.
All right,
all facts.
Jim, what would he be better for boxing, Wilder or Fury win?
Well, one thing, it's never good for boxing to take the title back to Alabama because it's a small market, man. Listen, it takes 2 airplane flights to get there, and then you got to take a bus to get there. There's no hotel over there. If you want an American champion, you want them in a major big city. That's good for boxing, not Alabama. But I think the biggest thing for boxing would be Fury because Fury is a Pazienza, a Muhammad Ali.
Stop! Don't even say that. No,
he can sell any fight. This is a guy that can.
Jim, to make a great point, Wilder at the press conference had his headphones on, didn't say a word.
He didn't have to.
But you have to sell it.
No, you don't. This is not a fight you have to sell. No,
You
you
just
don't,
said before-
Claudio.
oh, how about
this
Wilder's-
is not a fight you have to sell. The
have to
market
do
was
something
already
about
there.
it.
No,
Pay-per-views,
no, that's wrong.
pay-per-views.
And the fact,
Let
the
people
fact
know
that he
what's
didn't
going
say
on.
anything, the story. Oh, he didn't say anything, and the standoff.
You have to
No
say
Luther's
words.
right. Luther's
You don't
right
have to say
because
that.
Fury can do it by himself. He don't
He
need
did.
Wilder.
He did.
Yeah,
Listen,
he don't
you
need
are- there you
Wilder.
go, giving Fury extra credit. You guys.
What
are a
happens to the
joke with
fighter
this
who
old media.
loses? What happens to the fighter who loses? Is he done,
No,
or is he what?
You're not done. You just have to go back to the drawing board and start. Unlike
Wilder
Jim says,
loses.
he's not done. And if you can knock out people, you're never done. He's an exciting fighter, whether he's fighting Fury, whether he's fighting Ruiz,
People wanna see
whoever
the
he's
knockout.
fighting. Everybody wants to see the knockout. So the fact that you guys try to say he's done after one loss, I think it's disgusting how the media, old media like you guys, really old media, tried to write him
I'll be
off.
57
He's gonna-
October 14th,
Oh.
and I take cards and nice well wishes.
Listen, you guys write him off after one loss.
Well, here's
It's
why.
one
Here's why.
loss.
Here's you know what? We're going to jump to the predictions. I'll go first. Here's why I didn't not write him off,
You
but here's
wrote
why
him
I think
off.
he's going to lose. When you give somebody the best you got, you
never
knock
gave
them
him his
down,
best.
and you do this, and you do the cocking, and you do that, and you knew he was coming, and he comes back up again, like Apollo Creed when we knocked Rocky down. Rocky got up again, and what did he do? Took us like that. Oh man,
This is not the movie.
It's the same
Claudio,
thing.
It's not
life
the movies.
imitates art. Art
Quit
imitates
talking
life.
about
Art
every show. You
imitates
got to
life.
bring up the
Life
movie
imitates
Rocky,
art.
or you got to
I'm
bring up
giving
Rocky
example.
Marciano.
I'm giving
Every show, one of those two: the movie or the real boxer, the Hall of Fame boxer. Every single
bringing it
show.
up. That's okay.
It's just like they said, coming to America.
That's
It's
okay.
coming true.
Yeah,
Every
that's all right.
single show, Rocky's
That's
going to come
okay.
up.
Well, if he was 15 and 20, I wouldn't have mentioned it. But anyway, I think that he took that confidence from him. I think he took that steam from him. I really believe that because, again, you gave him everything you could, and he kept coming, And that's why I think I'm going to predict Fury. As far as when and where, he says it's going to be a quick fight. I'm still saying around 6 to 7 rounds. I think it'll be a stoppage, and there's no towels allowed in the ring this time. Scott's not going to be able to bring no towels in. He's going to have to throw a shoe in to stop the fight. But I think it's going to be a pretty good competitive fight. But I'm looking for Fury to win 6, 7 rounds. Luther, your thoughts, predictions?
You'll be wrong again, Claudia, when you go against me. Listen, I see a completely different Wilder coming. I see a guy who's motivated. I see a guy who's going to the body. And I see a guy who wants to hurt him like I've never seen anybody before. Wilder in 5. Put your money down. This is going to be an exciting fight. And I think he goes to the body. I think he really hurts him. We've never seen this type of Wilder we're going to see. Body work. Fury will be spitting up a lot of blood after this fight. He may get carried out on a stretcher. I'm very worried for Fury.
Do you remember when I said last one of the few episodes ago when Luther was ready to explode about the Anthony Joshua loss? That's what we're going to do. Well, at least that's what I'm going to do when Fury beats him.
Okay.
Smoking Jim, your thoughts on the fight?
Well, like I mentioned before, when I was 11, the toughest guy in the neighborhood was 14. He was a bully. I ran up to him. I said, I ain't scared of you. He said, you don't got to be scared to get your butt kicked. You beat the heck out of me. But, hey, Wilder ain't got to be scared
don't
to
hear
get his
about
butt
you.
kicked. And I think that Wilder, you're going to see some desperation because if Wilder loses this fight, his woman will go the way Robert Givens left.
Gosh.
You know what I mean? He gonna lose his woman. She gonna go to the next best thing.
It's
But I think that
JMZ.
listen, I think there's a lot of pressure on him. He wants to get that title back. He's nothing without that title, and I really think that in the middle or later rounds, you're going to see him make mistakes because out of desperation, he wants to win.
That's
that
a good. But
title.
let me ask you something. I don't mean to interrupt you. Is all this different training and be a different fighter? Is that going to confuse him at all? Because okay, I'm taught to go to the body. I'm taught to move. But no, I'm a hammer. Is that going to hurt him at all?
Yeah.
Because Luther doesn't look at it like that. He
Yeah.
looks at it through the different glasses.
Well, Luther's just getting excuses ready for next.
But will that confuse him? Will that
next,
confuse him?
next week's show?
Who am I? Will that confuse him at all? Maybe later rounds.
Yeah, I really believe so.
That was a good question, too. It was a hell of a question.
Again, Angelo Dundee was best for Muhammad Ali, and I think Mark Breland was best for Deontay Wilder. He got rid of the guy that's been in this corner that's known as body the best.
And
And
your
don't forget
prediction?
that Mark Breland was a heck of a very skilled fighter.
And your prediction for the fight?
I predict that the white guy will win.
Which white guy?
Hey, listen, you don't mess with a gypsy. This is a guy, one of the greatest heavyweight boxers of all time. He's
Stop.
6'9". He got the best movement in the heavyweight division since a Muhammad Ali.
Oh, God.
And he can throw the combinations. And he's a fighter, man. I mean, I believe that the money don't matter. He's still the same guy that was fighting for, every dime with the gypsies. The gypsies are fighters, man. And he's a fighting
How many
player.
gypsies you know, Jim? You know everybody's wife. How many gypsies you know, Jim?
So let me ask you again. Do you think that what comment on my
You got to
comment?
bet your best friend's a gypsy, Jim?
Comment on my comment as far as Deontay gave him everything he could, knocked him down, thought it was over, but he still kept coming.
And that's where you're wrong. He didn't give him everything. He caught him a couple times.
But that's what he does. He catches you.
Listen, he caught him a couple times, and this is why he's adding tools. The reason he didn't stay down is because he didn't hit him with a couple better shots earlier in the fight. Now going to that body, then catching him with those head shots. Nobody's going to be able to stand up to that.
All right.
And I think that's why adding more tools to the toolbox doesn't mean he's going to change. He's a natural-born killer, Claudio. And the fact now he has more layers. There's other things. Before,
More weapons,
all Mark Breland worked with, and Mark Breland even said it was a 1-2. Now he's going to the body. Now he's doubling up on the hook, double up on the jab.
Man.
He was a 1-2. Now he added more tools, and you guys are saying that's a bad thing. That is horrible analysis
I know
for
you
you
said
guys.
Fury. You said the white guy was going to win, but what round?
You know what? I really believe that it could be. It could
There's
go
12
the
rounds
distance.
to
It could be a split decision. It could be a draw. I really believe that the people that run boxing really would like to see a number 4.
Oh, no question. Bring them. Okay, so again, so you think it's going to be a split decision or a draw?
Yeah, I think it'll be a decision for. It could be a unanimous decision, a close decision, split decision, or a draw.
When you running for office, this the master of spin.
Well, I'm
it
gonna
could
tell
be a
you something.
decision. It could be a draw. It could be a number of 4 ways. That's my
His
answer.
mind. You know who's in Fury's corner?
Who's in
The
his
guy
corner?
from Charleroi.
Oh, God.
We'll be right back, and we'll talk about the most famous trilogy, Muhammad Ali versus Smoking Joe Frazier. We're right back with the boxing authorities. Thank you for coming back to the boxing authorities. Well, we talked about the Fury Wilder trilogy, but the most famous trilogy, in my opinion anyway, at least in the heavyweight division, was the Muhammad Ali Joe Frazier trilogy. Well, let me ask you first, what do you think it did for boxing?
Man, I think it took it to another level. Muhammad Ali, he showed everything. He showed his heart, his chin, his stamina. And Joe Frazier was just a monster.
Yep.
Kept coming, would not give it up. The corner had to throw in the towel because Joe would have just kept going, man. These guys took box to another level. The true warriors came out. Man, you watch this fight, man. It would make you, if you're not really into boxing, these are guys who laid it all on the line. Both of those guys were so close to death in this fight.
Muhammad Ali said, I now know what death feels like. But you said something that makes a lot of sense, that I wonder if that's happening today. Maybe the Fury-Wilder fight might do that. People who aren't interested in boxing, those guys brought it in. I remember the first one, they had Frank Sinatra taking pictures for Life magazine.
okay.
All these celebrities were in attendance, but it was just an important fight. But how many times a Super Bowl or a mega fight doesn't live up to its the press and all the media, right? This one not only didn't do it the first time, not only didn't disappoint the second time, it didn't disappoint a third time. 2 unbelievable fighters. Smoking Jim, how important was this trilogy to boxing?
Yeah, it was very important to show that anybody that's a true boxing authority would see how weak the heavyweight division was in the 70s.
Ooh,
You had 2 over the heel. You had 2 over the heel fighters fighting in there. The only reason Muhammad Ali,
The first 2?
the only reason Muhammad Ali took the third fight, the first 2 fights were great.
So was the
They
third
were over
fight.
the heel. Only reason Muhammad Ali took that third fight in Manila was for 2 reasons. One, they thought Joe Frazier was done. as a fighter, and number 2, he wanted his mistress over there to meet the
Oh,
prime minister.
my
And was she beautiful? Was she beautiful, Lou? Then he introduced her as his wife over there. That caused some
my
drama because his real wife showed up when she seen the press conference. But hey, listen,
That would've been a better fight.
Smokepedia.
That would've been a better
Come
fight.
on, Jim.
Look
You're
at-
saying, look at
look
these
at
guys.
these
This is
old
round
fat-
14.
there ain't no muscle on Joe.
And if
This
you,
is round
Luther, good
14.
point. Luther, good point. If you wouldn't have saw 14, you'd have thought it was the first, second round.
Exactly. Look at these guys laying it all. Look at the punishment that Joe Frazier's taking.
Joe could barely beat Marvis at this point.
Yeah, because
Because
Muhammad was hitting
Marvin,
him.
yeah, Muhammad Ali was catching him.
And one thing, people think about how beautiful he looked and how athletic Muhammad was. But look at Frazier's face. Look at a lot of the fighters that he fought. He could hit. He had
Yes, he
heavy
could.
hands.
Yes,
he
he
had heavy
could.
hands.
Not at this point, but
he
the,
swung him
up.
the most athletic guy in the ring's the referee at this point.
And Joe wasn't exactly the easiest guy to hit because he had a
Look
lot of
pretty
movement.
easy. Look pretty easy
Muhammad
there.
was he was accurate.
He's over the heel.
Look at the punishment on Joe Frazier's face, and
He's
he's
not moving
still
as much
coming.
this round because
Look at that.
Muhammad was
This
hitting
is
him.
it. Look at that. You see a face, a man of desperation. He's ready to go.
Who's his
Corner.
trainer? Who's his
Corner.
trainer? George Allen, over the heel gang.
They had to stop it.
I don't think Luther got that one. He was
Yeah,
a coach
he
of the
did.
Washington
Look
Redskins.
at Muhammad
He got-
Ali. He was ready to go. He got thank
thank
Allah it's over. Let me go sit back down.
He was a grandfather at that time, I think. 2 grandpas.
Listen, man, that was a tremendous fight. And the fact that you disrespected those 2 legends in one of the greatest.
You know what I thought I was
trilogies.
just watching until y'all said it? I thought that was Tyson and Roy Jones Jr.
Oh no.
no.
There was a lot of
Was that,
hugging.
was that a comeback fight?
There was hugging in that Roy
Did they
Jones
come out
fight.
to
There was no hugging. That was guys
Let me
laying
ask
the
you guys a
wood.
question.
Woo!
Real quick question. Today, with social media and everything that we have, there's more access to promote a fight than there was then. Why isn't this fight as big or well-known, maybe worldwide or even in the United States, as that fight?
Because unlike what you said, there's no Muhammad Ali in this fight. Muhammad Ali transcended
I didn't say
boxing,
that.
sports. No, Jim compared Fury to
I
Muhammad
didn't,
Ali.
but go ahead.
Listen, but Muhammad Ali was a guy who was bigger than boxing.
Sure was.
His stands outside the ring, his skill inside the ring. There's never been a guy like Muhammad Ali that stood for something,
Nor will
that
there ever
had the
be.
whole package, and
Jack
he
Johnson?
represented his people. He represented
Jack
everything.
Johnson? Ali couldn't carry Jack Johnson's
Listen,
jockstrap. man.
listen. Well, did he sit out for 3 years by choice?
Right.
By choice. Jack Johnson was a legend.
Oh, he got put in jail
He got put in jail.
marrying a white woman.
He got the Mann Act.
No, he didn't get sent
And
out.
when he was in jail, he made the rich. That guy was also
Did he
invented-
really?
Yes, he
I
did.
didn't know
He
that.
invented the rich.
What, he was trying to break out?
Hey, he was trying to do something. Not only a great
I didn't know
boxer,
that.
he
Smart
while in
guy.
jail, he invented the rich.
Dang, I gotta
Yeah.
wait till February.
You better learn your
Let me
black
ask-
history,
I,
Smooth.
I learned it in February.
What was better, the Ali Frazier or the David Hay Tony Bellew?
Oh man, come on! Don't even go there.
Did you
man.
watch Tony Bellew?
That
Hey,
was
one. Forget
two
the second fight.
C-level
Watch the
fighters
first one.
win at it.
Watch
It
the
was a
first one.
very good fight, but don't even put that in the
We're-
same. Two
We're
C-level
going to
fighters had a
have
great one.
our popular segment, the mailbag. Now, a little upset here. My uncle from Italy, he didn't ask me no questions. My uncle Antonio. Maybe I should say this in Italian, but that's all right. He wants to know. He loves Luther and Jim. He said, "Why is the coaching philosophy different in Italy, UK, Cuba, and the USA? Fighting's fighting. Why is this country believe in this way? This country believe in that way? Good.
Good. I wanted to hear what you said because you just said the
No, go
CTE
ahead.
is setting in. I want to see this, but go ahead,
Go ahead.
Jim.
No, you go. Let
Listen, I think the training today is not what it was in the past, and I think that's why we see so many struggles in our Olympic team compared to Cuba and the other ones. The UK, for instance, I don't like the way their fighters don't move their head. We see a
Why
lot
is
of
that,
guys.
though? Why is that?
They like that stiff.
Yeah.
It's an old
My dad
style,
always used to
and it's
say
a
it,
way
yeah.
to get your face and eye sockets busted. I think they need to move their head a little more. I think trainers of the old, we're a little more slick. With some of our boxers, but it's just different styles. I like the U.S. style better. I like the movement, the head movement a little more. UK, I think it's more of a stiff, the old style. If you look at UK boxing and you look at fighters back Joe Louis days, it's pretty much
But
the same.
that's what my uncle is asking, tante grazie per la questione, Tonino, why is it that they do that?
Well, if I thought Luther wasn't going to say nothing, I'd went first. Hey, listen, the American fighters are spoiled. They grew up like Luther with a silver spoon in their mouth. And I tell you what, that's the reason. These fighters today, they got too much to fall back on. They don't.
You ain't answering
Fighting
a
should be
question.
live or die, and the fighters in the USA want to live.
Even my dad used to say the same thing. He used to say, the European, he used to just put it in one bubble, they fight differently than the American fighters. And I think that's what my uncle's question was, why is that? But anyway, okay, well, as always, we hope you enjoy our show as much as we enjoy bringing it to you. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Boxing Authorities. We'll get you next time.